And welcome back to the show. Let's go to line number 4. Robert, you're on the air.
Hi, Patty. Thanks for taking me on today.
No problem.
So I was just down in front of the convention center with the group from Environmental Transparency Committee, EnviroWatch NL, as well as Protect NL. There was a pretty good showing there early this morning. I'd say there was around close to 40 people or more. The weather is not cooperating, obviously. It's a lot of rain and thunder and even bad driving conditions, as a vehicle actually took out a sign in a garbage can just down the street from us. So, but yeah, it's a big day. We wanted to make a presence and just to let people know that not everybody is for this, and we want to have better communication with our elected leaders in order to progress the Newfoundland economy and our environment in the way that we all can agree with and is beneficial for everybody.
Hitting the sweet spot when we talk about environmental protection and advancing the economy is the absolute epitome of tricky business. I mean, just think about some of the reliance we've had on offshore oil. And we kind of understand oil, and we kind of understand mining, and we kind of understand forestry. And so consequently, developments in those industries don't get a whole lot of spotlighted focus. Maybe I shouldn't diminish the reaction people have to offshore oil development, because that's obviously part of the conversation as well, environmentally speaking. But this one, because it's the great unknown, because it's an industry that not only is in its infancy, but there's no such project anywhere in North America, as far as I know, regarding the production of green hydrogen, and especially when we're talking about for export use as opposed to domestic use. So do you think the fact that it's so new has given it a different type of focus and a different type of commentary as opposed to other advancements, industrially speaking, and when we talk about the balance with the environment?
Well, the proposals themselves are new, but the technology behind them for the wind turbines, that's not new at all. So it doesn't seem like our leaders are looking at the history of these developments in other areas of the world and making solid decisions based on their experiences. They seem to have everything painted like driver province, but if you look at the economic case of it, like I'm still struggling to see how this is going to work without continued ongoing taxpayer funding.
So just a quick question. You cut out a couple of times there, Robert. When you say to look at the success or the failure of these types of projects elsewhere, you're talking about just basic wind farms, are you?
Yes, that's right. So basic wind farms, when they're connected directly to the grid, they use 100% of the output directly on the grid. And as well, for example, down offshore the U.S., there was a lot of proposals that were canceled due to the rising interest rates. So I believe it was every 1% interest rate increase, it was adding 20% of the overall financing cost to each of these developments, and they've been canceled because of that. So now with this project, they're proposing to use 100% of the overbuilt wind capacity to make ammonia, but realistically, the wind turbines will put out roughly 30% of their rate of power over the year. So, again, if you factor that into the inefficiency of creating hydrogen and sending it over to Germany, then you're already well below the 50% that extra cost for the offshore would cost.
Yeah,
so
I think we can learn. I don't know if I can make that connection that you're trying to make there this morning, because when you talk about wind-generated electricity and the interaction with the grid and the reliability and the cost and the materials used for turbines, that's all one thing. But this project is vastly different from that, though, isn't it? Because it's not about domestic use and it's not about efficiency or reliability. It's more about the product that they're producing for export. So I'm not sure we can learn a lot of lessons from failed or successful wind projects, because this is not that.
Well, basically what I was trying to say is that the inefficiency and the intermittency of the wind energy to produce ammonia and hydrogen at a solid, steady rate was required for exportation of these products to other areas. That is not a realistic economic way to produce energy and ship overseas, because of the inefficiencies and intermittency of the wind turbines themselves. And factor in our harsher, high humidity, high salt content environment, then the failure rates are going to be higher than they are in other areas of the world. So you have wind turbine factories or facilities that are being bankrupt or losing money and being shut down, because they're not able to sell their power for a profit directly to the grid at 100% output of what they have, yet they're trying to propose thousands of wind turbines on Newfoundland at less than 50% efficiency to make ammonia. So none of these theories or ideas seem to have a solid business case. So
yeah, business case be one thing.
I was trying to make.
Well, for me, that's a fair point. we don't even really know exactly what the consumption rate will look like on the other side. And if we just talk about Germany, because that's the country that's been focused on, given the fact there's an MOU already in place, we don't even really know exactly what a power purchase agreement will look like. We have no idea how much green energy or green hydrogen they're even going to want. They've acknowledged that it's expensive because, they've set aside 1.2 billion euros for exactly that.
Yes, and as well as the double-side auction with 200 million euros coming from Canada and Germany. So the Canadian taxpayers will be offsetting the higher cost for German industry to purchase our fuel, which to me, again, makes 0 sense at all why we're supporting a country that has such a poor environmental policy or energy policy.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, the double auction is something that probably some people might not be familiar with, but that's not really new when we talk about the purchase and sale of goods, though.
No, but we're offsetting the cost. The taxpayers are paying up to 40% potentially from federal incentives to build these projects.
Yep.
Sorry? And 20% for tax credit facility, I believe, from the province in their new hydrogen roadmap that they released. So, the numbers are adding up where we're paying more and more and more of these projects. And then we'll have to, like we said earlier, we have to pay in order to sell the project. So, sell the product to foreign markets. So, again, like I said, the number is just, the math ain't mathing for me right now. That's what I got to say. It was funny because Chancellor Olaf came from Germany looking for ethical liquid natural gas. Premier Fury misstated when he spoke to Empire Club of Canada, said that he came here looking for hydrogen, which isn't true. He came here looking for LNG. But that development or that proposal was rejected because of lack of business case, yet they developed this idea or this scheme, I'll call it, which also has no business case. And I'm willing to bet that the business case for compressing and selling our natural gas to foreign markets is a lot better of a business case than any of these wind hydrogen developments.
Well, the oil industry doesn't think that quite yet. The break-even point for price point for MMBTU, we're not there. If we were, we'd hear oil companies sitting on gas out there saying we'd like to develop the gas.
Yeah, exactly it. And we also have the wind here, but there's nobody lining up to develop our wind because we don't need it until the federal government promotes 40% tax incentives for people to come here and destroy our land to benefit foreign countries, which, again, I mentioned before is an example of a banana republic. So a banana republic is when you have a group of politicians and preferred businessmen who exploit the resources against the wishes of the local people for export. So it's very reminiscent to what's happening in the fishery, where they took away a lot of the inshore harvesters and they give it to foreign-owned corporations to control the majority of the market. So now we have these foreign companies coming in. Just Newfoundlanders will get basically peanuts, and they're just going to be using our resources to ship product overseas.
Kind of two different things, but I think I get that point. You said in the province's hydrogen roadmap there's a 20% tax subsidy? Is that what you said?
Yes, in the provincial roadmap that was released recently. Sorry, I switched over to FAR, so it sounds different, that's why. But there's a 20% provincial tax subsidy, tax credit, I believe. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but there's a tax rebate or credit or facility, whatever word they use for it. But a provincial 20% rebate, which is stated in there, that would be applied to these hydrogen developments. So they keep saying that it's not public money and we should be excited for the private investors to come in and pay for these projects. But the Newfoundlanders are going to be losing traditional ways of life, their history, our people's values are being completely dismissed in order for these well-connected contractors and companies in order to come in and make profits off of government subsidies or taxpayer subsidies.
Yeah, I don't even know if there's a regulatory framework in place, which is why I'm not sure that I've seen a reference of 20%, but I have that roadmap document somewhere here that I can find. I'll put my hands on it after the show and give it a bit more of a comprehensive read. But you're not wrong when it comes to public monies. It's quite clear. Mr. Risley said he wouldn't need any public money. Now all of a sudden he's secured a $128 million line of credit. Doesn't need any public money, but there's going to be somewhere between 15 and 40% of cost recovery via tax subsidies, and that's for initial construction costs, not ongoing operational costs. But that's public money because the government doesn't have any money. It's our money. So that point is 100% true. Robert, anything else before I get to the news, sir?
I just want to say it was good to see people that I've been speaking with online and hearing their calls to your show. It was good to put a face to a lot of these people. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't great, but I think there's going to be some more people showing up later today and tomorrow and possibly even Thursday. So hopefully if you can make it out to voice your concerns against these irresponsible developments, we'd love to see you down there.
Appreciate your time. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you very much, Patty. You have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.